Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever anyone prefers is okay with me. I am Phyre, and I am going to be talking about some Rogue's Tale here, and I also have some admissions about making videos and everything. So something I have began to learn is I'm really bad at voicing over things. As bad as I feel at times, like talking while I'm playing, I listen back and I just judge myself too harshly. And I probably do the voiceovers fine, but this video was originally going to be a voiceover video, but instead I'm going to do it all one recording, trying to make sure I talk nice and clear, which, yes, I'm not always the best at. You will hear rustling of papers. That's me bringing up the notes. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a little insight into me making videos. And now, where before it was just for fun and hey, let's do this, and now I'm actually looking at it as a source of income and everything. And so you'll start to note that now I use YouTube free music that you can play, which is what's playing right now. Yeah, so I'm trying to work on making better content, and I want to make good content. And so I'm just going to try to work towards my strong suits, which I'm extremely analytical. And something that I have an extremely difficult time of showing is how silly I can be. Like, I'm an incredibly silly person, but when you listen to my recordings, you do not get that very often. One part of my new playthrough, I know where you get it, is where I'm going like, nerd! With a Leo Nold or nerd. See, I can't even remember. It's either Nold or nerd. And every time I read it, I just want to say nerd. So there's lots of cases where I like to be like that. So I'm rustling through some paper here. And so this video, I put in timestamps. I'm very painstakingly making sure they're accurate, describing what I'm talking about. And this video is going to be fairly long of me talking about its boss preparation, but as I was making it, it's also going to be a lot of the late game stuff that a lot of people have questions about. And so I'm going to go over a lot of that. And the first part I want to start with is on the bosses. So we go here, and when you go to reset dungeon, once you reach certain levels, more bosses will appear, one will disappear, and that one's going to be a standalone video. That is Calfax, an Earth Elemental, and it is one of the toughest of the bosses to fight. And really with any of the bosses, all of them are pretty hard fights. You shouldn't be trying to do any of them until you've really done most of the other heritages. Most of these bosses are incredibly difficult. Like, this one's really difficult. This is Gurmer you have to beat to kill the game. Badakath is pretty difficult. I still think Dreadlord Nabon, my undead doppelganger namesake, is right up there as the toughest boss. At least you need to have so much knowledge. I think with Nabon, you need to have more knowledge than like any of the other bosses. Say versus the king now is really difficult with one of the parts. So I'm going to be making videos that will go over all of those, and I think they'll just be like this instead of where I was going to try to voice over, make them polished. I just want to try to make them polished. They just feel clunky. I do not like them, so they will be me just doing kind of live talking. You'll get cars driving by. We don't live on that busy of a street, but we're on a hill, and cars will drive by, and you'll hear that. You'll hear our two dogs, and other myriad of noises, which I'm like, you know what, that's okay. I will be getting a different mic soon when I'm doing live talking. This microphone, even when I've tried noise cancellation, I have not liked it. And so it is a very good mic, but it picks up everything. And so that's good and it's bad. So this is one more when I'm just trying to voice over and it's very quiet. Okay, so now that I got the first part out of the way with the bosses and everything. There are a few that are easier. So this one that I'm on right here, Balthar, isn't too hard. You can kill them quickly with either the gun, or there's also these deadly Ghoul Tooth. I'm going to hydrate 1 second here, and we will get right back. So deadly Ghoul Tooths, the problem with them is they miss. So if you're not on an agility build, throwing is an agility thing, so you can miss with these. The damage can also get reflected back and you can get killed from them, but it will kill this boss as well as the gun that has one shot from the sewer quest, which unlocks arcane spells. That's the second amendment heritage. This one right here, Bierkoff, is a pretty easy one too, that the gun or the teeth will work on. So these other bosses, the gun and the Ghoul Tooth, do not work. Okay, so I do have notes here. So yes, my next part is about armor. Armor is bad once you're past mid-game. You want to get to as light of armor and then get rid of armor altogether. So doing the heritages that you can enchant your shirt or robe, depending on which sex you're playing, you want to do all of those. Where are they? Here we go. So doing one of these will first allow you to do one enchant. And then once you have all the shirt heritages, and then do this quest. Yes, I have a little over the 9,000 points in this game. I've been in it for a while, actually, like 3-4 weeks now. I've been in this one game. I haven't been playing that much, and I've been kind of sitting in it because I've been wanting to do this video and then the boss follow-up videos. So that's why I haven't killed any of you kings lately. I will. Okay, now that I'm done with that, so you want to work towards that, but a good thing is there is now a legendary shirt that's been added, so at the very least you would be out 2 enchants if you couldn't do blessed and have runes on your head. But this is gotten through doing the fishing quest, and so you can do fishing by right-clicking when you're at a water ravine with the fish and hook line, and you'll get these 3 charms. These 2 give you different types of fish, and then this one, when you have it in your inventory, unlocks a quest to do the puzzle game. And the first time you win the puzzle game, in each game, you will get this shirt. I don't know why my shirt has a cooldown on it. I did not do anything to die, and I am certain of that. It just randomly, I was actually recording, so I was able to go back and look at the video. What I think procced it was a time warp scroll, but I don't know. Anyways, so it's cool. The enchant it normally doesn't have on it is the charm. It comes triple enchanted, which is both good and bad. The good part is it has 3 enchants. The bad part is if you have runes unlocked, it kind of sucks when an item has 3 enchants, because it's much more difficult to get the enchants you want on it. So I got the D3 healing off and got immunity to charm, and so I was very happy with that. And then just because I'm paranoid and I don't know if this will blow up or something like that, I have the exact same enchants on my shirt underneath. Okay, so that's the armor part, and I don't like it. So my general endgame build that I've really come to love is a Blade Flurry caster build. And so I have all of the spells. I'm going to go more in detail on these in a little bit. And then I have Blade Flurry, which is an agility based. And I can get my agility higher in all my stats through items. I didn't realize how good they were. These stat potions are amazing. Or amazeballs, as someone I know would like to say. They are so good. So the potent ones, the high-end potent ones, will give you 5 of each stat. And that's the highest you can get on an individual status, +5 from that. Plus you can get the +1 from buffs. So the Divine Grace and Divine Might also give you the +1. So you can really beat any builds you want, and especially with runes. Endgame, it almost doesn't matter what stats you start with. The important part is just surviving. So my preferred starting build now is always stamina and agility at 8. And then sometimes I'll go to 9 agility, other times I stay at 8. It depends on what enchants and the game brings me. Okay, so as far as the weapons, I have Gifin's Claws, and I'm going to go over the legendary effects here in a minute. And these are slightly better than the regular claws in that they do an extra +1 of damage. And then on this one, I have Paralysis, and that's so when I do special extra attacks from Bloodlines, I paralyze stuff because it's the main hand weapon. And Paralysis does work on a lot of the bosses too. So it's pretty sweet to have this set up. And then for the rest, you'll notice on everything except for this, I have plus life. And normally even this, I do plus life, but I was trying out crit. And I think I do like having a good amount of crit too. So yeah, I'm got plus life. You'll see plus light radius as well a lot. Good amount of plus to crit, and then all the important immunities. And the thing to note too is I have silent cast, which you don't need silence immunity, and then you also technically don't need polymorph immunity, because you can still cast when you're polymorphed if you have silent cast. But even better is if you have rat form and in the demon rat bloodline, then you get you can polymorph right out of, you can shapeshift right out of polymorph, and you turn into a demon rat instead of a rat, and so you're strong. So yeah, it's not really a big negative. So I don't do polymorph immunity when I have both of those. And then the jewelry. So this is my base set of jewelry that I think overall for anyone will work very well. You got immunity. So if you are for sure going to go for immunity, you don't really need to have curse immunity on here, but I have it on here because of I'm going to be switching things up with the build I will be testing out. So Blessed Ring of Elements, this is not optional. You can beat the game without this, but it is not recommended. It is much better to have this, so you don't have to worry about shocks. Actually, the thing that scares me the most. But if you're playing with Trollish Bloodline, then fire is even worse, because you'll get set on fire and it does double damage. So you definitely want to have elements. And then Ghost Form is just all around safe if it's a blessed one. So I got Blessed Ghost Form, and see I got Charisma for the casting. And okay, so I'm gonna go over Bloodlines now. That was my next course of action. Hope everyone's having a good holiday season. Yeah, just enjoy life. So I'm gonna go off in the order the game goes in them, which is Infernal. So you have snags, which each of the bloodlines, and Infernal you're vulnerable to both Banish Demon and what is it? Charm. 1 second here. Banish Demon and Enslave Demon. Okay. So I think the instant death part of Banish Demon doesn't work if you have instant death protection, because I have not died with it. And I've been hit a pretty good amount of times. I haven't wanted to test on myself casting a bunch. But you are vulnerable to Charm with Enslave Demon. I don't know if that's a bug. That's why I'm confused about if you can get instant killed. But so that's something to keep in mind. And in a lot of games, I don't do the Infernal Bloodline just because I'm scared about that. But this one, I wanted to be as strong as possible. And the reason why, like, this is pretty good. Weapon effects don't happen on you as often. Bloodborne's probably the best one. If you're standing in blood, you'll heal a ton. And yeah, so it's like on a lot of the boss fights, there's blood all over the place, so just stand in it and you can just like tank anything pretty much. If you're playing strength, Whirlwind is also amazing. It probably does the most damage of any ability, and it has amazing clearing of a lot of enemies. You only need 13 strength. After 13 strength, it doesn't give you any more hits. 15 strength, at least according to what the game says, which I don't always trust, but it does seem to be the case. 15 strength seems to be the max, just like with 15 agility is the max for agility. And then for casting stuff, either 12 or 13 if you have the caster charms, and no armor restrictions. Okay, and then some of these other ones are decent depending on what you're playing. Demon Rat's pretty cool. Its snag isn't something that's going to get you killed, unless getting you killed is because you don't get powered up enough if you're using this early game. Because your charisma is set to 7 whenever you're selling stuff. So I'm at 12. I won't get that 12 sell price, which is a bunch more money. It's set at 7, but it's not that bad later in the game. And then one of the reasons I like Blade Flurry is also the lucky number 7. This will break if you do more than 20 damage. I think it's a critical failure. But so Whirlwind's annoying because it will break unless you're using a weaker weapon or not too high a strength. Then you won't break it with a Whirlwind. But otherwise, yeah, they'll break, and so you have to keep on getting them. So that's a good way for making money is with those lucky number 7s. This perk, don't care that much about. This one's nice. Because I do jump a lot, and then also the other rerolls. Cheese is pretty cool. This is the best healing effect in the game. You get healed to full and get +2 strength anytime you eat cheese. So you'll see in the boss fights, I'll be carrying more than 1 cheese. And so, yeah, it's a good way. That's why you want a lot of hit points. Hit points is the best armor. Paralysis at best, one of the other best players. Hit points is like the only armor. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Blade Flurry gets an extra attack when they move away, so it's really good with mages and archers that like to move away from you. And they'll get paralyzed oftentimes with having paralysis. So I went over rat form. Dual wield, so this is another hit when you parry an attack. So you can do a bunch of damage just by not doing anything because of riposte and opening. Plus, if you have the charm, Duelist Wristbow. Yes. So I like the Demon Rat Bloodline. It's pretty good overall. Shadow Step's pretty cool if you're using Silent Move. You're able to move too. I'm going to skip over the Demon Rat form ones. Right now, Shapeshifting's not in with me. It used to be my favorite build was bear form, but with the changes, it needs to get changed for it to be effective. You don't have the mobility. You need to be able to plane shift often, or wand is shifting. You will see I always carry a wand is shifting in my playthroughs. I talk about it, the importance of it. That movement is always really important. So the Draconic Bloodline's actually the snag I hate the most. You'll see I have these 4 stacks of gold, and then I actually don't need this 5th one, but you have to have those at level 20 or you're cursed, which is generally the same effect as being cursed. If you equip an item that says it's cursed, you'll critically fail more often, and then there's also other negatives. Like I've had, when I was using Whirlwind, I'd miss all my attacks, which at high strength, you're not going to miss 3 attacks in a row. Like there's like a 1 in 100,000 chance that will happen. So that's what curse will do, is it will make you just like miss all your attacks sometimes. So you don't want to be cursed, but not on the boss fights. You can get by without it. The lucky number 7 though will also break, so I just always try to make sure I have the gold. I just hate it because I can't click control left click to store all the gold at once. I have to drag and drop it, which is annoying to me. But that's why a lot of times I don't get this bloodline, or I'll wait to get it. Because a lot of them, this one's nice, the buffered. This one's totally useless if you have the charm that shows enemies' hit points, which is the skull face. Stone face. Well, it looks like a skull. Conductor's pretty cool actually at lower levels. You can attack from range, not the full 8 squares. I think it's 5 or 6. I believe it's 6. Actually, I think I can... Oh, no, I don't have a staff. I'd have to buy one. I'm not going to buy one. I don't want to unequip my weapons. A lot of times, actually, I do use staffs. I don't even go to the dual wielding. Because I like having that... miscast protection. That's what a staff does, is it makes you almost never miscast. So yeah, it just seems to be any staff with this that you'll be able to attack from range, and it does pretty good damage. I don't know what the roll is based on. Does it say? No. Yeah, so I would say stamina, just because most like spell things are stamina, but I don't know for sure. This one's good if you're trying to level slower. This one's not really that useful, even if you have the infinite flask. Like, they're easy to get. If you could get blessed ones out of this. One thing I can say though, critical hit definitely increases your chance of getting a bottle when you drink it. Let me test. I don't want to do the stat ones. Let's rest at the end, get a... And of course it's a blessed charisma, which I don't want. Okay, let's drink this holy water. And then see, the bottle stayed. Normally that doesn't happen. And it seems critical hit increases the chance of that. It's a little more money, I guess, too, because you can sell them. I haven't used this. This could be useful, but D66%, so you could potentially lose 2/3 of your life. That's a significant amount. I do like this one for lighting the torches, because I always forget to bring scrolls of light, which are pretty useful on some of the boss fights. Like Dreadlord Nabon, very useful to bring scroll of light, which I forget like every single time, I swear, I go to fight. So, gonna take a quick sip of water here. On to the Trollish, which is my favorite. And you know, some of the bloodlines I'm not really talking about much, and that's because they're kind of meh. I like a lot of the Trollish ones. This one's good early on before I have Keen Eye. This one's, yeah, meh. This is how you unlock runes. Go over more of that in a second. This one's amazing. It's basically bleed protection. You will take 1 tick of bleed damage and then the bleed will go away. But that's super good because bleeds kill you a lot early on. And so that's one good way to not die. And then regeneration, always having that. Though I kind of skipped over the snag, which is you're vulnerable to fire, like trolls generally are thought to be. And that can definitely get you killed early game. And so you'll want to at least get Ring of Elements to offset that, or Amulet of Radiance, or Fire Ward. Radiance obviously is preferred. With the Fire Aura, then you'll take no damage from fire whatsoever, and you'll heal from other fire auras. You also heal fire elementals with your aura. Okay, so yeah, Living Flesh, awesome. Deadly Throw is kind of fun, but because stuff has more hit points now, as far as like the bosses and stuff, you just have to have too much ammo, so this really endgame isn't very useful. Not endgame though, Deadly Throw is pretty useful. It's a fun talent. I just hate it because also inventory space didn't get increased when charms and all that were added. The one kind of thing that sort of increases it is if you're using the bag to hold items, which actually generally I don't do. I just am so overloaded with good items. Yes, I know it's first world problems, but that, and I just hold on to too much crap, honestly. Anyone that's seen my playthroughs, yep, Phyre, he likes to hold on to lots of junk. So you can hold stuff in this, just make sure you don't click this button, or not all of this would go away, but all the money and the potions, these scrolls wouldn't because they're copied with scripting. But like half that stuff would just be gone. So yeah, make sure if you're doing that. That's why I generally haven't bothered, because then you got to bring this stuff out. However, it doesn't take a turn to bring it out. So it still is, when you're learning your way and you want to be like extra sure with the fights, definitely like great things to bring is more scrolls of invisibility. Even though all the bosses now, like every single one of them, I don't think there's an exception now, can see through invisibility. Usually the ads, the enemies around the bosses and everything, they can't see through invisibility unless they're ghost type enemies. And I'll get more into that, like specifically with Dreadlord and Nabon when I do that video, though I've done it twice. Though the fight's changed, it hasn't really changed from the second time I did it though. So when I did it in my, I think it would have been the full playthrough, yeah. Okay, so back to the Bloodlines. Thick Skull's really good before you have Confusion immunity. Because Confusion, there's my big 4 immunities, which I forgot to start spouting off about already. I talked about immunities some, which is Confuse, Fear, Curse, Instant Death, and generally in that order. Confuse is number 1 because all points of the game you can get confused just from a critical hit, so it is the one you will run into the most. Fear is also extremely common, though at higher levels you then have higher stamina, and so you're harder to fear, and so it's not as big a deal, but still you want to have immunity to it. You should never not have it. And then curses, yeah, curses are really bad, because there's just the one that does damage, but then there's all the other ones which will cause you to lose control of your character, so always want that. And then instant death, not that common lower levels, so it's always the last of the 4 you want to prioritize, but high levels, always instant death. And then, a lot of the other useful ones are like Charm, obviously Silence if you don't have Silent Cast. Blind's good to have. And then, let's see, what else am I missing? Oh, Paralysis, yeah. Paralysis I used to not get, but then Dreadlord Daemon, back to that one. The weapons of all of the Immortals are poisoned and potentially enchanted. And if something has Paralysis on it and you don't have Paralysis immunity and you get paralyzed, you're dead, because it just keeps on re-upping. And back when things didn't hit nearly as hard, so it took like 50 turns for me to die. But I just sat there watching, getting beat on by like 2 immortals. I don't know where Nabon was. He was like, I don't know, but yeah, it took forever. And so ever since then, I always get it endgame. Okay, so then the Rune Grinder and Rune Schematics. So with green skin, you need to run into a Loot Hoarder, and then you can talk to it. Because as long as a troll, wolves, or spiders aren't around, all orcs and Loot Hoarders will be friendly to you. If any of those are around and in the same line of sight as the orcs and Loot Hoarders, they will turn hostile. But otherwise, they won't attack you. So I usually still kill orcs and stuff just so I don't run into that. And an easy way to get a Loot Hoarder, which I know I've mentioned in other videos, but this is always super important to mention. Third Leg of the Imp, you can bind rings to those. They have to be blessed rings. You can get one that summons a Loot Hoarder at the start of every dungeon, and that's gone through getting a blessed Ring of Outcasts, which is also used to make the Ring of Ebon, or also called the Ring of Power. And so, yeah, really easy way to get Loot Hoarders. This used to be the best way to get charms you wanted and everything before the Curio vendor, which I'm so glad this got added, because the charm farming was horrible. So very happy that got added, though you have to now farm dust, but I still think it's better, yeah, than what it used to be, so I like it. Okay, so yeah, that's how you get runes, is having green skin and talking to a Loot Hoarder, and then just any rune you find, you can go to the crafting and then donate it, and once you donate all of them, these go over game to game. Not that you don't have 65 runestones, you'll start with 0, but you'll be able to craft any of these, so you don't have to store the same one in a game. But I think you need to do this in a game to. When I did it in one game, so I'm not sure if you died, if you'd have to start back at the beginning. Okay. So, speaking of runes, okay. Talking about how to craft them, unlocking them. So there are 2 big challenges, which should be heritages. I don't know why they got put in the challenges, or I don't know why Nibby hasn't put them into the heritages now. But so Dwarfageddon, which actually someone was just asking about why I used a Wand of Wishing in my part 7 of my playthrough. And so I responded to them, but the reason is because if you use 4 Wands of Wishing in a game, that unlocks runes. And so runes give you that power spike end game where you can have, 100 plus life easily, all the immunities, and do lots of damage. You can still beat the game without having runes unlocked, but it makes things much better. You get them early on, you get some blessed stuff. It's like, just get so strong so quickly at times. But yeah, so you should, see, I hit F3 because it should be a heritage. So 4 Wands of Wishing, 1 game, you die, you got to start back over, because there's 3 wishes, money, more wishes, love of your life. Money gives you about 500 to 600, unless it's blessed, it gives you double. More wishes gives you nothing, and then love of your life gives you opposite sex mage. That sounded funny phrase, but yes, you get a mage that is opposite sex from you, and if you use a blessed one, you get 2. And I will go over this when I go over Scalder, but that's how you do, let's see, the Scalder Challenge, Bony Twin Job, I believe. Yeah, so, because you have to sacrifice the love of your life. And I will go more over that, so I'm not going to really timestamp that part in this video, but that way people have more things to find, because that's what I'm learning is, like, there's people that have, like, as much knowledge as me, but I'm about the only person that's putting out content that explains a lot of this stuff. A lot of the people in this game are very friendly, and that's how I learned a good amount of stuff, though I've also learned a ton of stuff by just experimenting. Like I said, I've been in this game for a few weeks, because once you're end game and you have all the immunities, like if you have on a ghost form, got all the immunities over 100 life, and you're just doing regular dungeons, there's pretty much no way you can die unless you walked in lava. But if you have this... Oh. Okay, so we went over runes. Now we're going to go over legendary weapons, which is the other challenge that should be a heritage. And actually there's a whole host of them, because then there's also the legendary effects. So these again should all be in challenges. So there's Dwarfageddon, which is the runes one. And then the other challenge, which is a heritage, but it's a challenge, is Drain the Swamp. And there's now a pretty easy way to do this one while making money. So first off, this I will demonstrate. This is one of the reasons I have so many runes of the Imp in my possession. Okay, so I'm going to grab a rune of the Imp. And then a nice little weapon here. Not really, but I've got a crafted one, but... Okay, so Rune of the Imp is how you get legendary weapons, and when you use it on... So you need to make sure you're not using it on one of the unique weapons that you get from one of the encounter bosses. So you could not do this on Gifin's Claws. They'll still get legendary, but to unlock the legendary effects, you need to do it on just a regular weapon. Obviously make sure it's a good weapon that you're going to use, so it could be any weapon as long as it's not one of the named encounter ones. Use the Rune of the Imp, click the weapon, and then it always brings up orangutan. So you don't even have to worry about typing it, spelling it in right. Just bring it up, hit enter. And then now with this weapon of orangutan, you must equip it in your main hand and kill 50 swamp monsters, which is the tentacles, which is how I unlocked leather armor. Was it part 5 or 6? I unlocked leather armor in my recent playthrough. And so kill 50 of those with this weapon equipped. And you can see the counter. And once you do that, it unlocks the powerful legendary weapon effects, which are really good endgame things. Early game... I mean, I guess you can do some of them actually early game once you get the... because now there's a heritage to start with the Rune of the Imp, or you can buy the Runes of the Imp. But so the ones I always use are Hateful Aura, which reflects damage. I believe does it say it on this? Yeah, it says it right here. So this is pretty good. I believe it got nerfed at some point, but it's still a good one to have. When there's a lot of enemies, the damage reflected will heal you for a lot. And then the other legendary effect I like to have, which again is a challenge, not a heritage, but it should be a challenge. So Orbus Bomba, which any of you that have seen me stream, because lately I haven't streamed. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get back to doing it more real life, which is why I was having this real talk where I'm like, okay, I got sort of a script there, but I'm also just talking off the top of my head. And so got Orbus Bomba, which always gives you enlarged orb effect, which is pretty awesome. Oh, back to my preferred jewelry. I totally forgot. Didn't go over the third one, which is Haste. So my preferred jewelry set, or the no fuss one, is I mean, the two I showed, these are the two you should mostly always have, which is elements and a Ring of Immunity. And then a Blessed Ghost form. If it's not a Blessed Ghost form, now I am liking Radiance, and I'm going to test the build with that. So Radiance are pretty good to have. Free Action's still good to have. But I prefer Blessed Ghost form over Blessed Free Action, even before the nerf. Blessed Free Action, for those of you that don't know, no longer guarantees 2 actions. So what I did in my first full playthrough with having that Blessed Free Action, I would not be getting 2 turns every time guaranteed anymore. So I switched to using Haste usually on a third leg of the Imp, a Ring of Haste. So that's my third piece. And that way, you know, I get about half the time I get a hasted turn. Okay, so we went over those tentacles and sort of repeated myself on the jewelry. I forgot, actually, I had this on the second page. This actually was my next topic, was the preferred jewelry. Okay, so, well, we already got that out of the way. So, and then I mentioned Radiance. So a new build I'm going to test when I do the boss fights. This might actually be better. This could be the new ultimate build. Is third leg of the Imp with regen. And then a Ring of Regen. So I will be susceptible to poisons and diseases, but it's not that big a deal if you have all the important immunities. You'll just have to spend a turn carrying them. But if you have the immunities, you can take your time. You don't have to get them immediately. So definitely this build is not for some of the bosses. And the bosses, I would say this build is not for. Nabon, you need a Ring of Immunity because you will get poisoned constantly. So you want a Ring of Immunity. And then Ch'Ri. On Ch'Ri, I will go over this more, but either Ghost form and a Ring of Immunity on third leg of the Imp, or you could do an Amulet of Radiance with Poison Aura, and then on third leg of the Imp you can do actually Elements would be good because you also get frosted during that fight. But also go over how to win that fight super easily as well. But if you have that, you can pretty much not die. If you also have like, Ring of Regen, that'd be the other good thing. Yeah, if you have a Ring of Regen and you also have the Trollless Bloodline, you'll be healing for a bunch. So pretty much it's just about, you know, a 10-minute fight of just attacking the boss. But yeah, so my new test build, Phyre, Aura, Blessed Amulet of Radiance, still a Ring of Elements because I want that shock immunity. The frost immunity is decent to have too, but frost is like a worse shock. It's like you lose a turn half the time, where shocked you lose a turn 100% of the time. So yeah, worse shock. Frost works, worse shock. You've heard it here first. Blessed Ring of Regen on third leg of the Imp. And then Trollless Bloodline. Also, so you still have Haste. You will be using Blessed Potion of Swiftness. Well, it doesn't have to be blessed. Potent Potion of Swiftness, though, so it lasts a good amount of turns. And, you know, bring some extras. But you shouldn't even really need the Haste turns. I'm figuring you should be fine. Like the one part in the entire game you might want them is the Indivis part of the game, which again I'll be getting into. That's part of the king fight. But yeah, Blessed Potion of Swiftness, that way you don't need to have a Ring of Haste. But so that's 15, scratch that, 18 hit points every turn that you'll be regenerating. you'll be killing everything with this, plus if you have the Hateful Aura, so this will be also the setup with the weapons. Damage you take will get reflected back, and you'll be healing some of that. So unless you can get one shot, which you shouldn't be able to. The one thing I'm a little scared about, I will be doing this on Gurmur. Gurmur drops boulders, and so those can instantly kill you. And you might have saw in my talents, I had Sixth Sense. This is actually like the first game ever where I've actually used it in a full build. And so we should be safe from falling boulders. When you have high stats, reflex saves are pretty easy. But yeah, so that's my new experimental build, which I'm pretty confident in, but still gotta try it out. And it is not for Nabon, it is not for Ch'Ri. Ch'Ri's always its own beast, and then Calfax, because you can't bring all that in. Well, I guess you could. Okay, so I'm gonna store this back. I want the Ring of Haste and Ring of Immunity. Okay, hear me using my paper here. So I went over all the status elements and my big four and why I don't have polymorph or silence immunity. One other note on special boss immunities that you might want to have. This boss, Bierkoff, does knockback like every turn once it's like halfway dead. A lot of the bosses heal back at least once. I used to be confused how this works, and now I'm pretty sure it's a certain, all the bosses, just about, not all of them, but a lot of the bosses will heal back to full at least once. Some of them many more times. Like this boss now, I believe, does it either 5 or 6 times. I thought it was just a timer, also from reading comments, but now I'm pretty sure it's not a timer. It heals back to full 6 times. Indivis does that on the king fights. Okay, I don't need the orangutan weapon. Okay, so yeah, knockback for Bierkoff. This boss here is Bierkoff. I wish Nibby would add the names to all the bosses in the quests, because you can't really tell what boss is what in all of them. Like if you're looking at the challenges, like when I was first, actually the heritages for getting more loot boxes. Let's see, where are those? Here we go. So I was like, who's Balthar? Who's Ch'Ri? And then I knew Scalder was a hidden boss, so I knew it wasn't one of those bosses. Actually, I think it says Ch'Ri's name, but it doesn't say Balthar. Or... okay, it doesn't. But you know that boss still's Bling, so that's why I knew it was the Bling Stiller. But Balthar, I wasn't sure which boss it was. And Balthar is the very first one when I do this. It shows up the baby blue dragon. Okay, gonna go over spells. So the buffs are pretty important. Yeah, so Celestial first, I'll go in the order that they're in. The main spells you really want, it's good to have Cure Disease and Cure Poison if you're not going to use immunity. If you're always going to use immunity, it really doesn't matter if you have these or not. But Divine Grace, Divine Might, Divine Reach can be good to use even if you have Focused Cast, but if you don't, it's especially good to use. That way, if you have spells to do damage or plane shift, which I always call phase shift, like my brain always goes to phase shift, so whenever I say phase shift, I'm talking about plane shift. So with Divine Reach, you have the same range. You just don't get the damage. that you get with Focus Cast. Focus Cast is the only way through talents to increase the amount of damage you do. But some of the other talents increase your chance to hit from further away. Healing Touch is okay because it will heal ability point damage, which is referring to strength, agility, stamina, and charisma. So Healing Touch will heal one of those if you lose a point. And then a Renewing Touch is the best healing spell in the game because it heals you over time. It's got a nerf. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still pretty good because you just cast it on you, and then if you're taking damage, you'll need to recast it in a few turns. Otherwise, you got longer before you need to recast it. And you can cast it forward and make it longer, but as soon as you take some damage, see how it went down to like 3 turns. And then you don't get the healing on hasted turns. I guess that was 4 turns. And Turn Undead is actually really important. So it's good on Dreadlord Nabon, and then you really want it for the final battle. Because I've brought up also Indivis, this statue that you fight in the middle of the king battle, and that's the hardest part of the king battle now, and Turn Undead works on that. Amplify Magic is good if you're a caster. It gives you another d6 damage. I like to either use Electric Orb or Flaming Orb, and then Enlarge Orb. That's how you get Orbus Bomba. You have to kill stuff with splash damage, which is super easy. Just do it with like Electric or Frozen Orb. Otherwise, if you set stuff on fire and it dies, it doesn't count. But it's such an easy legendary effect. Some of the legendary effects are a little more tricky to get, but the Hateful Aura, just need to kill a Demon Rat, and Orbus Bomba, just need to kill with splash damage from Enlarge Orb. Illumination's great. So Draconic has all the most important spells of being a mage, and also good defense spells, which Illumination I'd call kind of a defense/offense, because you get the increased trap check, and then Light Radius, which is good for both defense and offense. Mage Armor. So I had equipped something, so my Mage Armor wore off. Saw all my resistances went up by +2. I really don't care that much about physical resistance. But the elemental resistances, if you have these high, generally spellcasters aren't that big a deal. Besides having the fire vulnerability, you'll still take a decent amount of fire damage. But once you're over 100 hit points, the fire vulnerability isn't a big deal. The biggest deal is to not hit yourself with your own enlarged flaming orbs. That can almost kill you in one hit. But at 13 stamina, which when I use potions, I'll be at 13. Also, when I'm on a different ring, I will be at 13 too. I'll get an extra +1 with the Misplaced Dragon Egg, which I will be going over more charms in a bit here. So yeah, the Draconic's really the most important one for overall casting. But if you're only going to take one, I always say Celestial, just because the buffs and healing. You really need that healing. And then Infernal, most of the spells aren't really that important. You got some more orb spells down here. The 2 most important spells are Capture Soul, because soul gems are what used in crafting these, so you can craft runes. So you need to get soul gems, and easy way to get soul gems is to just use Capture Soul and kill the target you cast it on. And half the time you'll get a pink one, half the time you'll get a black one. You need the pink ones for the runes. The other important spell is Plane Shift. Plane Shift is the most important defense/offense spell in the game. Unfortunately, it's in the Infernal Tree, and so That's also why you want to have Wands of Shifting. You also want to have Wands of Shifting so you don't have to worry about Disoriented. Plane Shift got a nerf in that you can't keep on casting it over and over again. You have to wait for disorientation to wear off, and you can still use Wands of Shifting, which is why I always carry them. Plus, that's a guaranteed. You don't have to worry about miscasting, where when you're using 2 claws especially, you have to worry about the chance of miscast. And so if you really need to run away, I always use a wand over using the spell, where it's like, if I don't get away that turn, I might die. And then the other 3 spell trees, they are heritages. So the Second Amendment gives you guns, that gives you arcane spells. I would say really the biggest spell in that's the Identify item. Good for getting blessed items. If you used any blessed amulet, I would not recommend using your ghost form, because you do not want to lose the blessing on that, because you have a 1 in 36 chance, unless you're cursed. If you're cursed, it goes up significantly. You can lose the blessing, but get like junk amulets. Like, I don't need an amulet of protection anymore because I got stun immunity here. And then blessed shock ward. So those, when I was still trying to get blessed items, it's really good to use Identify item. It only works on unidentified items, so you only have 1 time you can use it. Also, you need to make sure you drop your manuscript knowledge, or the item will get identified. So some of the other spells are good, like Divine Shield early on is pretty good. Enchant item I used to use so much for making money. Now it's not needed, fortunately, because that ate up a lot of time. I used to do so much enchant item. Transmute item's good early on. But a lot of these spells, because of the Soul Hunter's bag, once you get that unlocked, just don't really matter anymore. That's why I like enchant item. Just don't even worry about it anymore. So onto the Bestial spells, which is the Rise of the Fairies. Oh, there's also a second heritage for the 3. So the third one's the Abyssal. And it's back over, let's see, yes. So you got the masteries much higher up in the heritages. And because I couldn't remember where these were for a really long time. So you have the Arcane Mastery, Bestial Mastery, and the Abyssal Mastery. And these let you, like with Arcane, you can use any amulet. Make sure it's a bad amulet. Otherwise, you don't want to lose your good amulets because it destroys them. Unless it's blessed. If the totem's blessed, it doesn't destroy it. Otherwise, it will destroy it. Bestial is the one you have to worry about the least. Levitation's easy because you get the levitation spell when you do the quest, so it's not a big deal. Anyways, and then the Black Soul Gems is annoying, so that's another good use for Capture Soul. And so the Bestial spells, this one can be a little fun. Cure Bleeding's really good if you don't have the Trollus bloodline. You really want this because high level bleeds, even if you're really strong, a high level bleed can get you in a lot of trouble. You can heal through it when you're strong, but if it happens at the wrong time, yeah, it's a nightmare. Insect Swarm's really nice. It does various effects. It can work on some of the bosses. Endavis. It's good for getting away from him, or it's the statue. Fairy Flight lets you levitate, so you can float over basically all traps and not worry about ravine floors. Just don't forget to recast before it wears off, or you might regret it. So I generally don't keep this casted, but it is useful. So, and if you didn't have Keen Eye, that could be the one way you'd play without Keen Eye. I honestly always recommend having Keen Eye. The talent. Raptor Strike's good on most of the bosses. Unfortunately, not Indivis, because Indivis is undead, but it's good on Gurmur and Batakath because they're kind of hard to kill, especially Gurmur has a lot of healing. If you don't push in the boulders, Gurmur has twice the healing where it only heals 6 if you push in all the boulders. So Raptor Strike's good because if it's a high level, it always does more damage than what Gurmur is healing, and it lasts a pretty long time. You'll usually have to recast it once in the fight, but usually only once if you have 12 stamina. So those are mostly all the good spells. Sure, Grenade can be fun. It's like an enlarged orb, but you have to have blood caps in your inventory, and I always have very little inventory space, so I don't use this, but this is actually kind of fun to use. Corrupting Clouds, my favorite spell. This will kill a mass of enemies. Make sure you have curse immunity if you're going to use this, or you use it very far away from you. It does curse in a huge radius. See, I casted it there and it went all the way down to here. So all the way down to there, and then also 3 up. So it has a huge radius. This can be good at times to get out of spots. Grounding Orb's nice. On certain enemies and bosses, it will do more damage than the other orb spells. Mass Dismissal, I found it's better just to try to kill the enemies and use Mass Dismissal. Unless there's some cases I haven't seen, but when I've tried to use this as opposed to killing stuff that gets summoned, like on Bierkoff, I end up wasting more time. I haven't used this one too much. Usually if I have stuff all around me, I plane shift away. And then this is used in summoning the Scalder boss. You have to make a sacrificial circle, which you need a good area. Like, I probably make one right there. Let's see. Yeah. And then you gotta have either Blessed Amulet of Sacrifice in your inventory or a regular one equipped. So obviously it's much better to have a blessed one so you don't have to even equip it. Okay. And then this takes you to a ritual circle. So there's actually some good uses for that. It's kind of fun. During encounters, you cannot cast these. They will not cast on the floor. And excavation will not work. I was testing that out after I made that video, and that's how I know for sure excavation does not work on encounters anymore. Once they're already going. And then excavation's still useful on Nabon though, getting rid of the graves. Okay, so that about does it for the spells. And, oh, right. The one last thing on the spells I didn't go over, so it's going over the masteries. So there's the quest. The Second Amendment, you don't need, you don't have to have an item in your inventory to learn or to cast the spells. You just have to have an amulet equipped. For Beastyle, you always have to have this lovely fairy jizzed bullhorn. Yes, very charming. And then for Abyssal spells, you have to have engraved Pyramidion. And anytime you want to cast these spells, you have to have them in your inventory. And then once you have the heritage I was talking about, you don't need the Black Soul Gem like it says there, or you don't need the Levitating like it says there once you have learned all the spells in one game. Okay, we're almost done with my notes. Yes! Okay, so I've gone over a lot of the charms. I'm going to go over 2 of the most useful charms right now, actually, which is the Infinite Flask. Just need an empty potion, and you can make copies of potions. And then the Scribe's Tools, you can make copies of scrolls. And so I'm going to demonstrate something real fast as an important note. So I'm going to grab this. No, I'll do it with recharging. Oh, I need a regular recharging. That's a blessed. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Embarrassment of riches. Sorry. Okay, so I got these blessed blank scrolls. So this is the way it works, both with potions and with the scribe's tools. So that if you're doing this with the infinite flask, you need a blessed empty potion. With the scribe's tools, it's a blessed blank scroll. It does not go the other way. So if this scroll was blessed and I did it on a regular blank scroll, it would not make a blessed scroll. It just makes a master's. It will make the highest quality masters, or potent potion. So that's a good way to get high quality potent potions. That's how I got all of these, is making them off of blessed potions. So you always get the highest quality one. And how do you tell the highest quality? Well, the sell price. So with Demon Rat Bloodline, the highest quality stat potions sell for 27, and then like recharging 90. Yeah, Master Scrolls are recharging, sell for 90, the highest quality. Okay, so yeah, it goes in this order. Have a blessed blank scroll. Oh, why am I going to use that? I actually have plenty of those. You know what I need to do? Oh, but I don't have a regular one anymore. Oh, I know how. I'm so smart. Not really, but I can pretend. Okay, so I'm going to grab this Blessed Scroll of Enchanting just to demonstrate. Drop that regular Blessed Scroll. And, oh my god, I just realized this video is an hour. That's fine. We're going over a lot of material. This is like all the endgame stuff I'm going over. Okay, so Scribe's Tools, using a Blessed Scroll onto a non-Blessed Scroll, will make a non-Blessed Scroll. Alright, so we're going to store that Blessed one. However, going the other direction, with a Blessed Blank Scroll or a Blessed Empty Potion, then going like that gives you a Blessed Scroll. Now, a thing to note, quality does matter on some of the scrolls and potions, like all of these. It more matters on a lot of the potions. The scrolls, like Enchanting, there's no quality. Time Warp, no quality. But Invisibility, there's qualities. So it's a good idea to try to make a have the highest quality masters, and then then you can make a blessed masters. But really the important thing is just it can only go one direction. So now I need another blessed blank scroll to make another blessed scroll of enchanting. I can't make a bunch of blessed scrolls of enchanting. Fortunately, these aren't too hard to get, so yeah, don't worry too much. I mean, they're not easy to get either. But once you get going, the biggest thing is getting the Scribe's Tools, which you can buy from the Curio vendor when you're doing inner resets. It's one of the charms I usually buy from the Curio vendor. And so yeah, the other charms, sometimes I will buy this one. This is important to have, especially the end battle. A lot of enemies have shields. Shield Bash does stun. Stuns different than Paralysis, which is also different than Shock. They all do the same effect. They paralyze you, but they are 3 different status effects. So you have to have stun immunity to be immune to the stun from Shield Bash. That's what does stun, as well as, spell, and then one of the wands, I think, does stun. And then loose weapon chain. This is pretty important. If you're mostly a caster, it's not as important, but if you're a two-handed build where you only have one weapon, you always want to make sure you have secondary weapons. So for me, because I'm also a caster, my secondary weapons are set up as a caster, so they're both spell damage, but I still wanted to do some physical damage. So they're still set up to do a lot of damage either way. So yeah, loose weapon chain. This one's nice to have, but don't spend dust on it. This one, usually I will spend dust, but not early on. Usually later game if I can't get one. It's not a bad idea to spend dust to get one of these. But you can make lots of money still without it, so not needed. Manuscript knowledge, I always spend dust to get this immediately. Occasionally, actually, when I get annoyed and I don't feel like doing the quests, I will buy these, but you can do the quests, which are the ones for this will show a gun, this will show the fairy horn, and this will show the pyramidion. And I don't know if it's still the case. Make sure you don't identify these two items. You want to donate them, right? It should be to the repair tab, I believe, the Artisans Guild. Let's just read real fast. Yep, Artisans Guild. Okay, so it was the case. I'm not sure if it still is the case that you had to make sure these were unidentified. So drop your manuscript of knowledge if you have one before you pick these up, and then when you get to town, go straight to the Artisans Guild and donate them to get those heritages, so you can learn those spells in future games without having to do those quests. The quests are still good to do. They're good for money, and it's nice to get the charms from them, so most games I still do them. Okay, so there's also two other casting charms, which is the Crystal Tear and the Pulsating Demon's Heart for Infernal, and this one's for Celestial. There are no charms for the other three spell trees for these three. So you're stuck at 5 casting modifier, which is fine. Really, the only tree I really want 6 in is Draconic. I do like Celestial, just because Renewing Touch will heal for 7 to 9 as opposed to 6 to 8. But with my new build, it probably doesn't matter. Oh, I can't wait. I can't believe I've been talking over an hour, but we're almost done. I like this. This gives you more defense, especially the way defense is described. Having that extra block makes you that much harder to hit. So read this if you have time. Where we get to the, so all of this stuff. So I do like to use this. This one's good for saving time, so I always buy this one. I will buy this one a lot of times because this always gives blessed jewelry. I'm sure now that I'm making videos, multiple videos talking about how you don't need to have a crit to get blessed stuff, this will get fixed. But I've never not got something blessed. Every time I unlock a chest, I get a blessed item. These Ghoul's Teeth that I was talking about earlier on, you can only find these. You cannot buy them from the curio vendor. And so you have to find them. You can get them off of Loot Hoarders. So having that third leg of the imp with the blessed Ring of Outcasts to get a Loot Hoarder every dungeon is a good way to get a supply of these, but they're still pretty rare. So even in this long game, I was trying to see if I had any more hidden anywhere. I got 5, which is plenty. Oh yeah, I'll go over feathers. I want to discuss those. Okay, so I think that's all the charms in my inventory. That's the Tragical Album. There's a heritage to make it small sized, which is so much nicer because I'm always incredibly full. So the fishing charm, I went over that at the beginning, but so have this right click on a water chasm floor. So not a water trap, that won't work. You can make water chasms with the spell or the amulet that does the spell Alter Terrain on odd turns. Okay, so these ones, so what I just discussed, you can always make it an odd turn with this, or an even turn. And so I'm going over a lot of spoiler stuff, so I'll probably put a spoiler, but this is Scalder's weakness right here. is switching. Once you start the fight, switch to the other, and then Scalder will not take. Scalder heals back all damage you do to it every other turn. It actually might be on the even or odds turns. I didn't pay attention before, because just when I started the fight, I switched to the other one. So it just might be you switch when the fight starts. Either way, if you're doing the fight, just and it's healing, you have this in your inventory. Switch to the odd if you're on the even, or the even if you're on the odd, and then you should only be dealing damage, and it won't heal, and then it's pretty easy to kill. Stone Arcane Power is nice for the arcane spells because all of them put a cooldown on your amulet. So I'm gonna cast this. Hopefully I don't damage my amulet. Oh, well, I fell. So I didn't put a cooldown, but I'll do it again. Another great nice thing about being a caster is you don't need energy. You just take 1 to 3 damage, and higher levels, it's not a big deal at all. It's not no deal, but it's when you're starting to take a lot of damage, you do want to try to get out of there and heal up, but it allows you to keep on dealing damage without having to worry. Okay, so let me double check. There's some other charms I should actually go over. I just thought... This is how you fight the Enraged Demon Rat, which is another one of the hidden bosses. And this boss is actually really tough. Unless you have Hateful Aura on a weapon, then your Hateful Auras cancel each other out. Otherwise, the last time I was fighting it, it was confusing to me. It was seeming like I was taking damage from really far away, because that seemed like to be how you beat it, is you would do damage from really far away. But my recommendation is, well, don't carry this. If you're going to pick this up, pick it up after you clear a floor, go directly back to town, and put it in your storage box. Great thing about the storage boxes. Ooh. I'll probably have to make another video about the legendary weapons. I want to go over those. Because seeing this made me think of the bag, and then that. So this is good. You can throw rocks as far as you can shoot arrows with this. And then there's also the Bloodline rock lobber in the Trollus, or perk, I should say, in the Trollus Bloodline. This is good if you're using arrows. It's also used to craft a legendary weapon. And then these can be good. But I tend to shy away from them because the bosses seem to have insane amounts of elemental defense now, so I don't think these can get through the elemental defense. These are good to have at lower levels, definitely. Okay. Oh, we're going to talk about, get this from Counter-Strike, utility. So those are your scrolls, potions, and wands. Actually, I didn't include actually wands and utility, but... So, important utility to have. There are 3 main scrolls for fights. There's Polymorph, which is good on a lot of the encounters. Some of the bosses can be useful on the king fight. It's good to have because you'll actually fight 2 of the encounters if you didn't get them. Gifin Gif and Prince Ultrin. That hasn't been changed. Invisibility is actually still good on most of the bosses, as I said earlier, because of them not being able, the ads not being able to see through it. All the bosses can. And then the other main one is Time Warp. When things get really bad. This will not work on the king fight though. So yeah, you're out of luck on that. But any of the other boss fights, if you think you can't win, just use a Time Warp, take it back to town, and you can try the quest again. So Time Warps are always good to have. You just get a bad encounter and you know you're not ready. Time Warp. Scrolls of Recharging are also really good. And those go great in tandem with when I get to wands. One of the wands. If you see me stream, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then in the potions, I've already been talking about all the stat potions. So I actually recommend just getting potent ones, all of these, and popping them right before you start a boss fight. These last a really long time. The most powerful ones, almost 2,000 turns. I think it'd be 1,800. Yeah, it should be 1,800 turns these last. These don't last as long, but these are still good to have. And then potions of swiftness. Okay, I think that's it. The other utility that I went over was cheese. If you have the Demon Rat Bloodline, best way to heal a fool. And it gives you +2 strength. Okay, now on to wands. So I already discussed the wand of shifting. Go over it real fast again. It is great because it is a guaranteed way to teleport. So I used plane shift right there. When you use plane shift, you get disoriented. And the only way you can plane shift again with disorientation is with utility, either a scroll of teleportation or better, a wand of shifting, because you can have way more uses than a single scroll. So I can use this while I'm disoriented. Oh, I went onto the rock. Well, it'd be funny, I'd die while I'm doing this. At least I got over all the big stuff if I did. Not that I would die, because I got the Blessed Ghost form, but I was like, ended up on a boulder trap. It fell a reflex save, which would be like, it's like a 1 in, like, what is it, 1,800 chance, or it's roughly, yeah. That I would fail a reflex save with 6 sense and high stats. Okay, so wand of shifting, #1 wand to always have. Wand of Torture. This is Ch'Ri's weakness, which is actually not Ch'Ri, the Bleeding Stiller's weakness. Blessed Wand always does half of their life, but as it says, it will not kill them, so I'll get them down to 1 hit point with 2 uses. Well, I did 2 uses, and then all you gotta do is breathe on them, and they're dead. But as I said before, a lot of the bosses heal back multiple or several times. So it's good on all the bosses just about, but certain bosses like Ch'Ri, it's easy, goes from an incredibly long battle to a super quick battle. And then my other important wands are in here. So Wand of Scripting is the one I was talking about that goes great with the with a scroll of recharging. Either a blessed or a masters will make more masters scrolls, and so then I can recharge my wand of shifting, recharge my wand of scripting. Make sure you always leave 1 charge on your scripting, any of the blessed wands, otherwise they'll likely lose their blessing. So those go great in tandem, and then those two allow you to use the Blessed Wand of Maelstrom, which if any of you have watched my streams, again, I'm going to use the phrase, it's amazeballs. Everything dies that doesn't have instant death protection. So you will die if you don't have instant death protection too, and you're in range, which it has a massive range, much like the spell Dark Cloud, or was it Corrupting Cloud? I knew I was wrong. Yes, Corrupting Cloud. So much like Corrupting Cloud, it has a humongous range. And so obviously this doesn't work on the bosses, but it works on most of the bosses' adds. So it just will tear them all to the floor. And so I'm pretty sure with the Phyre Aura build that I'm going to test here, it is going to be unstoppable. Okay, so 2 more things for me to go over. I might go over a little bit more while I'm at it here. I'm trying to cover like as much ground as I can. Like I said, voicing over, it's literally taking me 8 hours before to do 6 minutes. am not exaggerating. And then I listen to it and I'm like, I can pretty much do that in one take in those 6 minutes and sound roughly as good. So we're just going to wing it. I'm sure you probably got some background noises. I forgot to take out one of my headphones so I can hear if the dogs are barking or whatever. It's more real though. And you guys are seeing, like, you're seeing more of the happy, a little bit silly me. I'm like really enjoying doing this. And I'm going over like so much of the end game stuff. I'm gonna, by the way, in my timestamps, I'm going to put Phyre is. Oh, see, I'm bad at coming out. This is the thing why I want a voiceover. I'm bad at coming up things off the top of my head. But Phyre is just talking nonsense. No, I'm going to come up with something much better. Ooh, maybe people in comments can add, and then I'll change it too. That would be fun. Okay, so I was going to go over legendary bolts. You need 12 feathers. There's something I still need to test too. If a quiver will give you 24. They are a pain to get. So in this long game, I do try to pick up all the feathers. I might have skipped some because once I get going, there's a lot of stuff I just ignore. And so in this long game, how many turns am I on? It's not. I've had way longer games, but it's still a long game. It's not a long turn game. Like I just have way more turns because of the amulets of enchanting. I'd probably be in the millions of turns, like in my longest games. Okay, so 46,000 turns, which when you're doing your first king kill actually is reasonable because you should be unlocking all the heritages. You should be over 100,000 turns when you're going for your first king kill. Unless you died trying to do it once before after already unlocking all the heritages. Then somewhere between 10 and 20,000 respectful time for turns elapsed. Okay. So with legendary bolts you need 12 feathers. And then the weapon Ghoulbane. So you need a Blessifying Club, a Rune of the Imp, which is why I save lots of Runes of the Imp, because I do think I'll make a legendary weapon crafting video. Won't use the Blessed Runes though. Okay, but so you make a Ghoulbane. Feels like it should be Ghoul's Bane. Ghoul's Bane. And by that you make it in the Soul Hunter's bag. You have only those 3 materials: the Rune of the Imp, Blessed Fine Club, it needs to be blessed and fine, and then Blessed Potion of Holy Water, which is not that rare to find in the shop, and you can also make one with a Blessed Empty Potion and a regular Holy Water if you have the Infinite Flask. So Infinite Flask, regular Holy Water, Blessed Empty Potion, that will give you a Blessed Holy Water. And then you put those 3 items in the bag, and you'll get the Ghoulbane, which I'm just going to call Ghoul's Bane. I don't care. See, Wolf's Bane. It should be Ghoul's Bane. Or is that not a plural? I'm curious now. I'm going to look that up after I'm done recording. What's the plural for ghoul? I'm pretty sure it's ghouls. Okay, so whoops, those are the elemental arrows. The legendary arrows are Sir Fletch-a-Lot. So the legendary arrows work really well with crit and or they're bolts, sorry, legendary bolts. And then you can either use the second best weapon to have, but it's a little more friendly on ammo, is Ultron's Kiss. The funnest weapon to have, which see my Kill the King in 1 turn video, I'll add that to this video at the end. With the Wolf's Bane, this uses bolts instead of arrows, and you can fire 6 at a time with multi-shot talent at 13 agility. But I have 15 for more damage, and Kill the King in 1 turn, yeah. But so they only work on undead or demon enemies. So I don't know all of the attributes of all of the bosses. I think this one's demon. I don't think Gurmur's any. I don't know about Batakath. No, not undead. Obviously work on Nabon, and then they would work on Indivis. They'd be good for that. Okay, so that's pretty much everything. I think there was one other thing I wanted to go over real fast when I was looking at items, but I didn't want to interrupt myself, which I'm very good at doing. Oh, Pear Blood, right. Forgot about this. So when I was talking about the Bloodlines, I didn't go over Pear Blooded because I was doing the schematics and I totally forgot about this part. So this also goes back to the fishing charm. So to get the Pear Blooded heritage, get the fishing hook and line, fish out of water chasm, get the dirty diary, the dirty diary. I don't want to get copyright for singing a song by a band. Dirty diary. Okay, so yeah, you go to the quest and you go to the one that looks like the diary. Click on it. Well, actually, I'm going to start that at the end of this video. And show the puzzle game. Okay, so what do I want to pick up? Pick up the time warp. The rest of this, yeah, don't need any of that. Oh, I can put the Ghoulbane though. Not Ghoulbane, Soul Hunter's Bag. And just put you. Okay, so yeah, the Pear Blood Potion is got from the puzzle quest. So you drink this, you forget all of your talents. And when I unlocked it, I did not have an 8th talent in that game. I was very annoyed. So, because if you have the 7th talent unlocked, you get 7 talents at level 18. And then this should give you 8 talents, which it does if you start a new game. It's always strong will. You cannot unlearn it. I tried. The potions do not work to unlearn strong will with the Pear-Blooded talents. Sorry, Pear-Blooded heritage. So, and then once you get a bloodline, you lose strong will. So that's why currently in my talents, I do not have strong will. It's a good lower level one, but it makes you re-roll like Fair Charm, and then some of the curse effects, and halves the duration also. So it makes them pretty not really matter very much. So that could be another way you could justify getting rid of fair immunity. But if you have runes, just have fair immunity. Hey, plus the legendary armor. So when you open the chest the first time, you will see the nurse's shirt, and you will, every time you do it in a game, you'll get a Pear Blood, vial of Pear Blood. I've actually done it a lot of times in this game. Oh, one other thing. Let's see. Shielding. Okay, so you get the nurse's shirt, Pear Blood potion every time. Pear Blood potion every time. Nurse's shirt only the first time. I haven't tried selling it or dropping it. In another game, I'm going to try that. But so I can neither confirm nor deny you can get this more than once per a game. But every time I've opened the chest on the first puzzle game clear, I have gotten the nurse's shirt. Let me double check. I don't have anything else on the ground here. Yeah, I don't care about any of those. All that I can get back super fast. Rebuff. even though I don't need to. The puzzle game has nothing. It is just a room, a Sudoku puzzle. And every time you want to make sure you either have Ring of Regen or Renewing Touch, Ring of Regen, or the Trollus Bloodline, because every time you write a number, you take damage. Now you can leave the quest, even though it brings up this scary message. It just means you can't leave and come back to do the puzzle, but you can do this. The Dirty Diary does not go away. Again, with this, I haven't tried trashing it and then seeing if I can fish it back up. But you can keep on doing this quest. Like, I've probably done it 10 times, I think, in this game. If you don't want to die, so I love puzzles. Every time I've solved it legitimately. But if you want to make sure you're going to win and not die, because I've also died 2 or 3 times. I think every time I've died streaming, because I'm more distracted when I'm streaming, and so I've done a bad number. I think I died once not streaming. But you can look up Sudoku online. But the way Sudoku works, let's see if I can find an easy number. The ones? Oh, no. Oh, maybe this one. Oh, Phyre doesn't want to look stupid. Oh, 8. Okay. So I always like to make sure, this is the thing, if you're going to do it and you're not going to cheat and like use a solver online, make sure you are absolutely certain. A good idea too is to actually do it on paper. It takes a long time doing it that way though, but I did do that the very first time because I did not want to die and I wanted to, do it. So the very first time I did it on paper. So with the 8s here, the same number cannot intersect both horizontally or vertically. So an 8 cannot intersect with another 8. And so an 8 could not be here because there's an 8 there. An 8 can also not be in the same square. So you couldn't have an 8 where I'm standing, because see how there's these lines dividing? Each one of these squares of 9 has 1 through 9 in it. So that's the way you solve the puzzle, is each square has 1 through 9. Each line going both horizontally and vertically has the numbers 1 through 9. And then, so with all of that, and then so the numbers can't intersect. So this square down here does not have an 8 in it yet. And there's an 8 on this side and this side. And so 1 in the middle horizontal line and bottom horizontal line. There is not 1 in the top, so we know the 8's either here or here. There is an 8 right there, so that cuts through that. So if this 2 was not here, we wouldn't be able to determine whether the 8 was where the 2 is or there. But because the 2's there, we know there's an 8 here. So this is going to be the only number I do here. I just wanted to demonstrate and make sure I got the right number. Make sure you type it in. Do not go too quick on the typing either. Okay. Oh, that's the other way. Yeah, so shielding's a good ring to bring in here too. Okay, so I put an 8 down. You can tell that the numbers you've put from started because they'll be a little more bright, almost glowing, compared to the ones that are already down. Oh, and I can already tell that's an 8 because none of those can be 8s. And then you got 8s going down the middle, but I don't want to put any more numbers. Okay, so again, that's why it's good to have time warps. And let's use that. end this video. Actually, you know what? Let's end it with Phyre killing some stuff real fast. Okay, make sure I am on... Oh, right. One thing I got... I mean, shielding's fine, but I want to go back to my haste. Ooh, you know what? I'll show you real fast. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So here's the Loot Hoarder. I'm going to put on the Loot Hoarder third leg of the Imp. Let me store these, the fishing, the diary, and then put in charisma, and we'll stay at the inn. I don't know why I'm looking in the shop. I mean, I could technically always use more blank bless scrolls. It's just habit. Okay, so I'm going to reset the dungeon, and we'll go find my Loot Hoarder. Ooh, hidden guy. Oh, so we saw the riposte there. And then we see, so this is without me having stat potions. I'm still plenty strong enough to even win the game like this. Oh, there's my Loot Hoarder. Of course, sometimes it might not be. There's can still be other Loot Hoarders on the floor. But so it will be friendly to me. So I've already talked to it, so you can't talk to it again, but see, it's not attacking me. Actually, Loot Hoarders are usually neutral towards you unless there's the friends of them. Ooh, it dropped the third leg of the Imp. I actually needed another one of those. Because I didn't have an elements one. And also storing runes too real fast. So just like storing anything else, you can either, so you go to the crafting, either drag and drop it, you can put it up there too, or you can control left click or control enter. And that stores the rune. And I'll store my unbound third, yeah, that's what I'll call it, unbound third leg of the Imp, so it does not have another ring. You used to be able to do use one again, but now once you bind it, that's it. So yeah, I got the regen, shielding, haste, immunity, third leg of the Imp. Or sorry, Loot Hoarder. And then now I could put elements, because that was the one I didn't have. And you can only have one active at a time. So you can have more in your inventory. And what you do is, it seems to be a little buggy if I store it in here and take it out. So what's a little better, like for a while I was using shielding. And so I would drop Loot Hoarder 1, and that activates the shielding. So now I got the 35 of 35 for my energy. And then when I'm going to restart a new dungeon, drop that one, pick that one up. Okay, I think that about covers it. The one last thing I was going to say is you don't need everything I have in this playthrough. I would recommend having over 100 hit points, and then always the big four of Confuse, Fear, Curse, Instant Death, and then the other immunities are technically optional. If you have Silent Cast and you want to cast spells, I would have Silence immunity too. Should change it to a big 5. Anyways, I digress. So my preferred build, just all around good on pretty much all of the bosses, is Blessed Ghost form, Ring of Elements, or Blessed Ring of Elements. You can do it with a regular. The only thing that needs to be blessed for sure is the Blessed Ghost form, and then whatever ring you bind to the third leg of the Imp. So for me, I said that is a Ring of Haste. So 3 rings, elements, immunity, Ring of Haste, Blessed Ghost form. Either use a staff or dual wield claws, and Hateful Aura. What I would do if you're using a staff, I'd use one with Hateful Aura. On your primary weapon, I would probably use Orbus Bomba. Secondary would be Hateful Aura. So Orbus Bomba primary for a staff. But if you're dual wielding claws, you get the best of both worlds. And all the time, get that enlarged orb, which Phyre, by the way, breaks wooden things, and you can actually get wood out of it too, which is kind of weird because feels like you'd be burning it, but okay. But yeah, so as far as I know, fire magic's the only one that breaks open doors. But yeah, you don't need to be as strong as I am in this game. This is the full prepared sets. Blessed Wand of Scripting, Blessed Wand of Maelstrom. These are good to have. You can just have a regular Wand of Scripting. The Wand of Maelstrom, I try to make sure is blessed, or at least Adept's quality if it's not blessed. If it's blessed, even a regular one that's blessed is pretty good. And you can make a blessed wand of any type by just using a blessed scroll of recharging on it. That will make a wand blessed. That's what the blessed scroll of recharging does. It's special effect. And yeah, that's about it. You know, just good charms, spells. You always want to be a partial caster. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. This game, I'm not gonna say it couldn't be done. I think it could be done, but if you're not using spells, you are doing a huge disservice. Also, you can learn all the spells with scrolls of knowledge. So just get a scribe's tools. You do need, I think this is with the Bloodline. It's either the Bloodline or the Horde DLC. So the Horde DLC was the first one. The Bloodline one's the second. But if you're playing this game a good amount, get the DLCs. This game is so cheap. And it, like, support Nibbe. He's been doing this game for like 10 years. I want to say, I don't think, I'm pretty sure it's a him, but I don't think I'll say them enough. They are amazing. They're pretty good at responding to comments on Steam. This is one of my favorite games of all time. That's why I've made videos on it. I like the aspect of not knowing a lot of stuff, and it's just fun, like finding new things. I'm still always learning new stuff. You'll see me correct things that I figure out, and the thing is, a lot of these things, like, no one else knows, and so it's just like you're in the dark. But I'm hoping to help people, because it's like there's kind of, you got to get up this steep hill, and then the game gets much easier. So it's just getting going. Once you can regularly get to level 14 and higher, once you get to level 14, the game starts getting easier. If your mechanics are good, it's just getting to level 14 and then getting higher, because that's when you start getting more hit points. So it's all about hit points, those important immunities, and learning from your mistakes. Remembering this is a turn-based game. I literally sometimes don't move for an hour and I have the game on. Not so much anymore, but I will get off. Like in my current playthrough, it's like I had to stop. I mean, someone might have came in and interrupted me, but I didn't have to get off yet. I could have stayed on longer, but I was like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go on, and I wanted, because those orcs were kicking my butt. Things are turning around. So I got up to part 8. I'm doing much less subtitles, because that was part of what was taking me a long time, was doing the subtitles, but doing the just gonna make sure I do good timestamps, add in descriptions to those I sometimes might not say in the game. So check out the timestamps. They are, I put a ton of work into the timestamps. That is what a lot of the work, like, I watched the video multiple times. Like, I try to make sure I get it down to the second of, like, when I change topics and everything. So I will be doing timestamps in this. I might actually post this before I do timestamps, so forgive me if there's not timestamps in this yet. I wanted to get this up. I'm just gonna make sure the video and the voice, hopefully in this incredibly long but incredibly detailed, going over so much of the end game stuff. And then, yeah, I'm gonna make videos of all the bosses, and they're just gonna be like this. It's easier for me to do. If I can transition to where I'm more comfortable doing voiceovers, maybe switch to a different mic that I like better and everything. We'll see. But thanks everyone. I get such amazing support, and I'm amazed how much people like even my first playthrough, and this one, people are just loving it. Like, I am incredibly pleased. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to go all the way. I'm confident. Well, I mean, either way, I'm going to finish it if I ended up dying in that life. But thanks, everyone. Thanks for the support. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Then I can start monetizing, because that's where I was kind of getting at the start of this video, is I'm getting close to that. But the music in Rogue's Tale, I can't use it. So... but I'm not going to go back over all my older videos. So yeah, just watch tons of my new videos like this. After part 8, I will start using the YouTube music, and it's going to be great. I know where I'm going now. I kind of got a plan. After I'm done with Rogue's Tale, which is still going to take me a while, like, I kind of realize the scope of things. I love going into detail, and it's like I've had a lot of people lately think I'm a developer of the game. I am not. I will give Nibby praise. They've been amazing, and I love this game, and I'm glad I keep on coming back to it. I didn't play it much over the past couple of years until I started the new playthrough, but now it's like for a few months now, 4 months, I think. And I think Tuesdays is going to be the regular day I stream. So on Phyre Gaming on twitch.tv, I'm now putting that link in all of that. It's hard for me to stream more than 1 day a week, every week, but some weeks I will stream every day. Especially once now I'm getting over the hump of these videos. That's been part of it, is trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And some of the other things I was talking about, and just, yeah, I'm just gonna go more wing it. You'll hear my dogs, you'll hear noisy cars drive by with big huge mufflers. Like, I drive a Honda Civic, but I have a very small one. Mine's not one of those ones that go anyways. People that drive by, some of our neighbors actually started putting up signs like, please drive slower. I don't think they're always driving that fast. I think it's just some of them, it's like, it's kind of a steep hill, and going up it, those kinds of cars, there's other cars too, trucks and stuff like that, very noisy. I will be working on changing my setup and getting more noise canceling and everything. And I know I'm bloviating tons more, but this is actually the most I've ever enjoyed making a video. This video. Thanks, everyone. Also, go on to my Discord. Right now it's not super active, but more people have been joining it. Anytime you have a Rogue's Tale question, just ask. If it's something I can answer, I literally don't think I've ever not answered a question someone's asked. Like, even in game, you'll see, like, if I'm streaming and stuff, or when I've been making videos, I still, like, I have a hard time not giving people help. And sometimes I just don't talk, so that way I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna talk. No, I'm on. I'm in offline mode a lot, but I'm actually on a lot more than what it looks like. Thanks, everyone. All right, so I'm going to end it. And by the way, I love this song that is playing. YouTube free content. Like, this song, it's awesome. Like, you that watch my older ones know, I'm a metalhead. I love metal, but I also like other music. And this playing right now, awesome. It is amazing. Okay. I will end it with This Is Phyre, and we're on fire. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Thanks everyone for watching.